Hello and welcome to the channel. It's puzzle time again with Sudoku Sleuth, and we've got what looks like another German Whispers puzzle for us today. Now, before I get on to that, I just wanted to make a few comments about my shorts, and then we'll look at today's puzzle. So you may have noticed that my shorts are unfortunately dry once again, dry in that they have no background music. So I've attempted to use one of those sites where you can license music to use as part of your social media. But what caught me by surprise is after using them for a couple of days, they filed a copyright claim on some of the videos where I use their music. And despite having the license to use it, I filed a dispute, but the dispute meant it was still there. So the net result of all of this is essentially there will be no background music unless it's something that I have probably written myself. So maybe something to look forward to in the future. I'll have to sort of think back through my high school and middle school music lessons and figure out how can I write a piece of music that will be interesting as background. If you've got any ideas, I'd love to hear them in the comments down below. But anyway, enough of that. Let's take a look at what we have for today's puzzle. So we have Jagged Knights by Blobz. And I'm fairly sure we've featured Blobz before. If I have, I'll take a look after I finish recording and link it up below as a card in here. But what we have here is Jagged Knights. And it's a bit of a struggle to see where the Jagged Knights are. I'm not sure. I think, the jaggedness is fairly obvious, but knights? Is that like medieval knights? Is that something else? Maybe the rules will explain it. So let's take a look at the rules. We've got normal Sudoku rules apply. So we need to place the digits 1 through to 9 in every row, in every column, and indeed in every box. Fairly straightforward. Cells a chess knights move apart, that's probably why it's called Jagged Knights, cannot contain the same digit. There you go. And digits on a purple renban line form a set of non-repeating consecutive digits in any order. I mean, pretty much almost all of them aren't going to repeat except potentially this digit, but we know that they're not repeating thanks to that clarity on the rule. And then lastly, we have adjacent digits along a green line, a German whisper line, must differ by at least 5. Now, we've seen those quite often on this channel, but let me just make sure that it's clear for any new viewers. Renban lines means that we've got a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 cell renban line. So if, for example, we have a 1 in here, then you know that the rest of this renban line is 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. It doesn't have to be in any specific order, it just means that they need to be consecutive. Now, the other thing that we know about German whispers lines is that they oscillate between essentially different polarity, I'm going to call it. So if this, for example, was 1, then you know that this number would be a 6 or higher to be 5 away. And what you end up with is essentially numbers oscillating between low digits, as in below 5, high digits above 5. And note, I'm not including 5 in any of this because for us to put a 5 on a German whispers line would require either a 0 or a 10. And as you can see with today's normal rules, and indeed with the software, I can't even place a 10. So there is no 5s on any of these green lines, and therefore I'm sure I don't want to start solving it just yet, but I can already see where 5s are going to be restricted on some of the rows and columns. Anyhow, that's all the rules we have for today. Now, before I get started, I'm going to remind everyone that we're often featuring Sudoku variant puzzles on this channel. So that means they are Sudoku puzzles with a twist. There are many rules here today, including anti-knights, renban, German whispers, that will help us to complete what is essentially a largely empty grid. Blobz was very generous and gave us just a single digit to help us get started. I can only imagine that this digit will help us figure out the polarity of some of these cells since we don't even know that to start. If you want to play along, you can give it a go yourself with a link in the description down below. And with that said, let's restart the clock and see how I get on. So if you've seen me play German Whispers before, you know that the first thing that I do is essentially color in alternate cells on the grid. So we know, if you remember, I said in the intro that if this is low, this will be high, but this will be low again. So every other cell will be essentially of the same polarity. So purple, 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 yep, yep, and yep. And therefore the other cells on this German Whispers line will be of a different color, orange. And that's as far as we can take it today. I typically color large cells red and small cells blue, but we don't even know what these are just yet. Let's take a look at this line. We can do essentially the same. Yeah. And for the sake of arguments, I'm going to pick green and yellow. And now we have to actually think a little bit harder. Right, so I'm taking a look at, these rows and also, sorry, I should say this column and these rows. And the reason I'm taking a look at them is we've colored so many of the cells in that row, for example. So we've colored 3 oranges, 3 purples, which means we've used 3 of the low digits and 3 of the high digits, leaving 1 each. What we're left with is for sure a 5, which I'm going to color as gray, and a yellow. And I say yellow because I still don't know whether green is purple or orange, but clearly green is one of them and yellow is the other. So this is a this is a yellow-gray pair. And presumably the same as here. Yep, that's an orange-gray pair. So we know in these 2 cells, there's these 4 cells, I should say, there's definitely a 5 in each of these dominoes. Which means neither of these is a 5, and as I suspected, 5 clearly has to be placed somewhere in here in this row. There's a lot of symmetry about this puzzle. That just means, my inclination is to say this has to be a 5, just because of that symmetry, but we'll prove that rather than assume that as usual. So next thing to consider on German Whispers is, where would you place the digits 4 or 6? 4 because to be 4 away, this would need to be a 9, and 6, sorry, to be 5 away would need to be a 9, and 6 because to be 5 away, that would need to be a 1, and no other digits would work. So 4s and 6s are extremely restricted in that they can only be placed next to one cell on a German Whispers line. So this cell won't do because it's connected to 2. This cell won't do, this won't do, this won't do, and this won't do because you've got 2 cells that see each other on the same row. So 4s and 6s are actually restricted to really just down here. What color is this one? So that's purple because we need 4 purples in the box. We've got already 4 oranges. Now the question to ask is, so orange, there is no place to place a 4 or a 6 in orange, and you need at least 1. So it's got to be in here. And presumably, as a result of that, it's also up here. I always enjoy symmetrical puzzles because essentially for the same logic, you get twice the digits. Who can take an issue with that? So we still need to place a yellow and an orange in here, which all looks in order. Right, I want to continue thinking about the 4s and 6s. So we know the 4s and 6s have to be in here. I say that there's a 4 and 6 that has to be in here because we need 1 more that goes into purples, and these 2 do not qualify. So it's got to be only one of these that's 4 or 6. Which again is just not enough. I'm wondering how can we actually restrict it to only one of these cells? Let's think about it for the entire row. So we said this cannot be a 4 or 6, this cannot be a 4 or 6, this cannot be a 4 or 6, this cannot be a 4 or 6. You see with, all of these cells cannot be a 4 or 6, but we need 2 of them on every row. So that tells us there is one joined with a 5 in here and a second 4 or 6. And presumably the same logic applies here. This is not a 4 or 6. Yep. It's got to be in here as well. Now remember I said 4s and 6s can only be joined by 1s or 9s. So that's these two cells. What else do we know? We've got, that's quite, there you go. I imagine you can probably spot it yourself. So we've got 4, 5, and 6 in this row, 4, 5, and 6 in this row. Well, what about row 5? Where do 4, 5, and 6 go? And it's got to be in here. There's no other place they can go. Otherwise, you'd end up repeating one of them. So essentially, 1s, 9s, 4, 5, and 6 are gone. 4, 5, and 6 on a renban line. Let me think this through. Well, the question I'm trying to answer to myself is this, like, could it be, let's say, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, or does it have to be 3, 4, 5, 6, 7? As in, is purple and green of the same polarity, or are they opposite polarities? And I don't think there's any way to prove that just yet, is there? Or am I missing something? So 1s and 9s are very permissive. Pretty much anything can go next to it on a German whispers line. So that's not the restriction to think about. Let me just work through this. What am I missing that would allow us to place a 3, 7 in here? So 3, 7s are not as restrictive as 4, 6s, but almost as restrictive. And they can only be adjacent to 2 cells, a 1, 9 or a 2, 8. So if 3, 7 is anywhere on this row, this still qualifies, so does this. So that really doesn't help us at all. Why does this have to be a 3, 7, or why does it have to be a 2, 8? So let's think through the example that it is, sorry, not a 2, 8, a 2, 3. Let's think for a second that green and purple are of the same polarity. What breaks? So that's 4 of them covered. It's not a problem because we're adding a second yellow and a second. There you go. That's why. So let me run through this. So if this is a 2, 3, 2, 3 pair, meaning purple and green are of the same polarity. Now, by definition, what that means is yellow and orange are of the same polarity. However, we still need to place a yellow and orange in the box. And the choices are 4 and 6, but they're of different polarities. So that clearly breaks. So this cannot be 2, 3. This is 3, 7. This is 2, 8 to complete the row. Renbans tell us nothing about the order. So we've placed a 4, 6, a 1, 9. We still need to place a 2, 8 and a 3, 7 in here. Now, can a 2 be placed next to an 8? Yes. Can a 2 be placed next to a 7? Yes. So that doesn't necessarily tell us anything. So 3, 7. So we know for sure that this is a 1, 9, which isn't very helpful. It tells us nothing about what these two cells could be. But the logic is solid for the other side, and we know what this will be. This is 8, 2, 3, 7, 8 set. So we still need to place, so 4, 5, and 6 are gone. 2, 3, well, for one color they're gone, which means that this has to be, sorry, I missed something very obvious in all of this. I should have changed the colors. I said these are opposite colors. So greens are not green, they are orange. And yellows are not yellows, they are purple. So we still need to place a 1, 9 in purple. We still need to place 2, 3, 7, and 8 in orange in here. But more importantly, I'm sure you've all been shouting at your screen, is this 7 tells us that purple is a 3, and more importantly, a 3 is a blue. So all the purples are actually not purples, they're blue. All the oranges are not orange, they are red. And we can actually now start to place some digits. Have I really not placed any digits so far? Apparently not, I have not. So anyway, let's place some digits. 4, 3, 2, and 1. 1, 9, 8, 7, 6. We know these are not 7 or 8. We know these are not 2 or 3. Until we know whether this is a 3 or a 2, we don't really know anything about these two just yet. Not a problem. 2 or 3, 1 or 9 to complete that row. And we're off to a start already. This 7 tells us this is the 8. This 7 doesn't disambiguate what's in here. Oh, but of course, we know what this is, and we know what this is. So 7, you can see, tells us that this is not encroaching into the 7, because if this is a 5, 6, the next digit along which would be a 7, which is not available. So this is actually fixed to 2, 3, and 4, of which they are all low. All the lows are gone. So we know we need to place 7 and 8 in here. We don't know what they are as well. You know, in all of this, I just forgot that I've been missing and playing this puzzle with my hands tied behind my back. I entirely forgot about the anti-knights move. So this 4 sees this cell, this 6 sees this cell as well. This is the 5. And that probably should have been obvious way earlier in this puzzle. Right. Have we got any other obvious? Yep, this 8 tells us this is the 7, the 8, and I'm guessing this 8 told us. This 8 was possible because of this 7. So we don't know yet, unfortunately, on this side what they are. I mean, it's highly likely that they are symmetrical, but again, we don't know that for sure. So that's not a 4, that's not a 3. That could be anything for now. Neither of these are 6, and they're not 7. So this is from 8 or 9. 7 has to be joined with a 2. We've got 1, 2, and 3. This cannot be a 4, otherwise it would be a double 9. So that's 3. 4 says, no, it doesn't. 9 and 8 are still possible. 9 and 8 are still possible. And this is from 1 or 4, meaning this is still possible to have a 6 in here. Now, I'm sure this is the same on the other end, so yeah, not having this 7 equivalent here, let's say a 3, really doesn't allow you to make a lot of progress on this side. So let's see what we can do. So these are certainly not 4s, otherwise it would require a double 9. So this is from 1, 2, or 3. This can be anything. Doesn't help us. What I suspect I'm going to need to do to help this end of is to start coloring some of these in with some sort of flash to help us figure out what they could be. Interesting. So I can place a 5, 6 in here to allow me to complete most of this column. So essentially you've got 7, 8, both of which see this cell, as well as the 9. And we've got a 1 that sees it, 2, 3, 4. So this cell is from 5 or 6, making a 5, 6 pair in here. And therefore we need to finish this column with a 7, 8 pair, which are red. And this is a red-gray flash. This 3 tells us this is the 2, the 4, the 3. Still tells us nothing about the 1 or 4 in here. No, nothing in there. Let's keep going. You see, we don't even know these digits either on this side. 8, 9 pair, we still need quite a few things in here. I'm looking for easy wins before I go down adding the route of adding flashes to try and figure out the other side of the puzzle. So again, I'm just trying to see if there's anything that's obvious that I'm missing. So these have to be from 7 or 8. Can't be a 6 in any of these because it would require a double of 1, which is not possible, certainly not even for this cell, for any cell really. These are from 4s and 6s. We don't know their polarity either. So we know we need a 5 in this row. Let's think about what it could be. So it's not 8, 9, or 7. It's not 2 or 3. Still can be 1, surprisingly. Still can be 4, but it's not 5. So this is 1, 4, or 6, which isn't a massive deduction. It's not a 1. We've got a triplet up here, so that's 1. So that's the 4, 6 is complete. We need still in here 8s and 9s are taken. So the 9 has to be up there. I think Sudoku would have been obvious. That would have placed it earlier. But what we can put in here now, so we've got 4, 6s. That's got to be a 1. 4 and 6, that's got to be 6 and 7. And we do know the order of those. That's a 7, that's a 6, because of this 7 here. No, I made a mistake. Sorry, 5 and 7. Yep, 7, 5. And that all seems in order. Still don't know if this is a 6 or 9. And neither do we up here. So what I will do is at least put a flash on the 4s and 6s. So if this is yellow, that's white, that's yellow, that's white, that's white. We still need to place a yellow up here, and presumably it's going to follow a very similar pattern. Let's work through it in there. So we've placed, we don't know yet actually. So what have we placed in here? So we've got 1, no, we've got 7, 8, 9, they're gone. Let's focus on this cell first. So 7, 8, or 9 are gone. 5 is gone. 3 is gone. 1 is gone. 1 is also gone from here. So this could be 2 or 4. Such an odd set of digits to remain. But it can't be 2 because if this is 2, that's a 3. But what digit would this be? Because that's a knight move away. So it's not 1, 2, or 3, or 5, or 7, 8, or 9. We have proven it is from 4 or 6. And therefore it is the yellow 4 or 6. we still need to place a 5 and 1 of 1, 2, and 3. So it's the counterpart of this 2 or 3. So 2, 3, 5. Let's try that in digits this time. And there's definitely a 5 in here. I'm going to give these a flash now. I don't think we're going to be able to progress without it. So if this is purple, that's not purple. That's not purple. Because of Knight's move, this is purple. It's not purple. Not sure. Let's see if we can look elsewhere. So this is low. So it sees this digit, and unfortunately because it's a 9, we know it can still be a 4. Can't be whatever this is. Is it really still 1, 2, 3, 4? I can't eliminate anything. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to color this one green, and I'll explain why in a second. And now this, hang on, can we actually place a 1 in here? So that's not purple, we have accepted. That's not purple, that's not purple. We need purple amongst 1, 2, and 3. Therefore, this is the purple. Therefore, this is the 1. We have no other option. Super. Now this sees purple and green. Therefore, it is 1 or 4, because it cannot see a 1 at this stage. Yep, that looks correct. And obviously the rotational symmetry is maintained, although it's not helping us at this point. If this is 5, it eliminates 5 from both of these. So that's the 5, that's the 6, and that's the 5. Sorry, that's the 6. That was probably waiting there for a while as well. So we've got 5s. So 3 has to be in here. Almost mumbling to myself at this point. I'm just trying to see what my next move is, and it's just really not obvious for me. So we've got 4, 5, and 6 in here, and if it's the same symmetry, there's no reason to doubt it. This side would be essentially the high digits, because it will be 4, 5, and then it will go 6, 7, 8, which is all possible because the 9 is down here and 6, 7, 8 are not interfered with. Now, if it's not that, let's think this through. So this cannot be a 1. It can be as low as 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. But it can also be as low as as high as 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So that's a large number of options to pencil mark in. Yeah, maybe too many. Way too many. I don't think this is helpful conclusions at all, really. We know purple is in none of these. But we know nothing about green if this is a 3. So we know it's not a 2. Because if this is a 3, then clearly it's not 2 or 3. If this is a 2, there is no 2. So there is no 2 in there. This one we know for sure it's not a 6. It's Caesar in the row as well as by Knight's move. And we know this is not an 8. But none of these are particularly massive deductions that are limiting these options at all. So we know we need 2 down here, so we can actually place it. There's no 2 all the way there. And these 2's seize these 2 cells, so that's the only 2 available in this row, in this column, pardon. all about, it feels like, to really make a breakthrough here. Right, this 8, that was probably waiting for a while again. That 8 is a 7, that's an 8. This forces this to be a 2, this to be a 3, that's a 3, that's still a 1, 4. These are not 3. This is a 2, 5 pair. That's a 9, that's an 8, because of this 8 looking at it. Still don't know the 4s and 6s, shockingly. And we still don't know if this is a 6 or 9. Only reason we know that about the 5 and 7, the 5 order is this 7. We still don't know what this cell is. Can we figure out what this cell is? So we know it's not high. 9, 8, 6, and 7 all see this cell. Can it be a 5? Maybe. So what can this be? It can be a 2. It can be a 3. It can even be a 4 and a 5. Can it be a 4? So if this is a 4, that's a 1, that's a 6. That's all allowed. There are no 4s in here. That would end up with being 6, 7, 8 with a 4, 5 pair, all of which is possible. The fact that we now have a 6 placed in here, I think the 6 was always in there, so that's a 4, 5 pair. There is no 4 up here. And there's always a 6 and 7. It's a question of whether it's joined with the 3 or the 8. And this 3 sees all of these cells, so we know this is not 3s. So this is 6, 7, 8, same as this side. And can we figure out which ones is the 4 and 5? We figured this out because of, how do we determine this was the 5? Because up here, so let's take a look at this cell. So this is not 6, 7, 8, or 9, correct? This is not 1, 2, or 3, 1, 2, and 3. So this is from 4 or 5. Yep. And therefore we know what this cell is. Good to see on your remaining one. 3. How did we know this was a 6? Yeah, because we're both looking at it. No. Maybe looking backwards isn't, oh, this 5 tells us why. Right, so these are, this is a 4, that's a 5, that's a 4, and therefore we know what all of these are. This 4 finally unwinds all of these. Has there been something? Yes. Right. All of these are 4s, all of these are 6s, and they are red, and yellow is actually blue. I don't know if I need those colors anymore, just those flashes. So 2s and 5s. I'm stunned that this puzzle still has so much to give. 30 minutes and still going strong. 7 tells us finally this is an 8 and a 7. Have we got some? Yeah, we filled these in already. Can we do any more in here? We still need to place a 9. Other than knowing it's not on this row, there's nothing else. That's not 7. This 7 tells us this is a 6, 8, and 7. did this end up being 2, 5? So the symmetry broke at some point. And I hope it's not because I made a mistake somewhere. But it has certainly broke. Right, let's keep going. So these are not 1s, 2, 3, or 4. This is not a 5 or a 6 or a 9. This is from 7 and 8. That 7 tells us this is an 8. That was a naked single. So we've placed 6, 7, 8, and the 9 sees this cell. 2, 3, and 4 also see this cell. So this is from 1 or 5. And it appears both are possible. So 2, 3, or 4 are gone. Just to confirm that 6, 7, 8 are gone. 9 is gone. This is correct. That's 1 or 5. We've placed 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5 on the row. In fact, let's just complete this row. So this is from 6, 8, or 9. That's not 6. These are not 8. In fact, this is the 8. All of these are highs. This 6 sees this 6, 9 pair, so that's a 9, that's a 6. We still need to place a 7, and then another 1, 5 pair. And therefore we have another 6, 9 pair, and this is the 9 because of that 6 in column in box 4. So that's the 9, that's the 6. We still need to place a 1 and 5. This one tells us this 5. That's the 1. And we're slowly but surely getting there. Although I'm a little bit, I'm not going to lie, I'm a little bit uncomfortable by the fact that the symmetry broke. I really wasn't expecting that. By symmetry breaking, I mean that I imagined that this 7 would be a 3 and that this 7 here would be a 3, but you can see clearly that 3 is not an option, which really has taken me by surprise. And I don't know why it is no longer symmetrical unless I made an error somewhere. So we still don't know what this is. We know we need to place a 9 somewhere in here. Right, let's take a look at this row being reasonably complete. So we still need to place 2, 3, 5, and 9. And I'm just going to pencil them all as options for now. So that's not 2 nor 9. That's 3 or 5, and there's nothing eliminating that as an option. This is not a 3, nor is it a 9. So that's 2 and 5, and all of that appears possible. Although clearly it's the opposite of this. Whatever this cell is, it's the same here. Now, we know we need a 9 in here. But we can't eliminate anything else, can we? Yeah, nothing. Let's keep going. These are not 1s. So we've established these are not 1s because of the row. These are not 1s because of anti-knight's move. This is not a 1 because up here. So that's the 1 in this box. We still need to place a 9, which goes in here. And we still need to place a 4, which is too far to be next to anything. What we know is this is from 3, 4, and 5. And therefore this has to be a 2. This is the 2. That's the 5. This is not a 5. That's not a 5 either. This 3 tells us that's not a 3. Very close. You can almost see the finish line now. Right. 2s are not in here. And this is from 3, 5, and 9. That's not 9. That is the 9. Because of this 9 down here. which I imagine many of you have spotted earlier as well. So we need 4 and 5. So it's 1, 4, and 5. This is from 1 or 5. Therefore, this is a 2 or 3. So how many low cells have we got? We've got nearly all of them. We just don't know which one is the 5. So at this point, I'm just looking for a nice move that I may be missing somewhere that disambiguates all of this. Unless, of course, like I said, I've made an error somewhere. So where am I looking, or I should be looking, and I'm not? That's not a 5 because of this 5. That's the 1, 4, 5, 3, 4, 5. Not 4. We've got 2 and 3. Can we disambiguate them? Yeah, this 1 looks down here. 5, 1. This 2 sees this. 3, 2. Yeah, Knight's moves are always tricky. If you don't spot them early on, they come and haunt you later down in the puzzle. And I've not made any mistake. 2, 3. And that's a solution for today's puzzle. It's a phenomenal puzzle, Blobz. You know, I always immensely enjoy symmetrical puzzles. And I really do immensely enjoy puzzles where it takes a while before you figure out the polarity of a German whispers line, just with a whole bunch of coloring to help you make some progress. Now, what I don't quite follow is, why is this not symmetrical? What am I missing? So these look symmetrical. These look symmetrical. Yeah. Are the arrows not symmetrical? Are the German whispers lines not symmetrical? They appear to be. I'm not going to try and do that on camera. I will take a look and try and figure out why it isn't. But I really do hope you enjoyed today's puzzle as much as I have. And hope to see you for the next one. Bye for now.